Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. So, since I last made a video, I have successfully recorded drums for 2 songs. One of them gave me fits. I was in here for like 5 nights trying to get that. Usually it's like 2 nights, and then like the 3rd night I can usually track if I haven't, played the song before, if I just worked up the part. But one of these tunes really, gave me a lot of trouble. And all my drumming is very simple, and it's not like I'm a great drummer or anything, but even within that, it was still a struggle to get it down. Luckily, it's done now. So what I do with drums is I have 4 mics. I have a snare drum right here. It goes to a Rane MS-1B, which provides me with phantom power, because the phantom power on this unit is just weak. Then I've got 2 overheads, one here, one there. That goes into track 2 and 3. So the snare goes into input 1, the overheads 2 and 3, and then I have a bass drum that goes into 4. No effects. I never use effects when I'm recording drums, at least on this unit. And everything is recorded at 100 unity gain. Alright, so once I record those tracks, and I'm recording it along to a guide track that I've got in my head. So I've got the headphones on and I hear I might be singing, just playing a guitar, but that's what I'm tracking to, which was all done to a metronome, so that we're at least somewhat, staying in time. It's kind of loose, kind of punk, but still within, it's not way out of whack, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure my tempo is not perfect, but I try. Okay, so next thing I do, I've got 4 tracks of drums recorded, right? So I'm going to connect out of the Zoom into my computer, and I go into a free program I use called Audacity, but you could go into anything, Reaper or any kind of DAW, whatever you want to use, your DAW of any sort. And then I use Audacity because it's free and cheap and easy for me. And then what I do is very simple. I just drag the tracks in. I will do a thing called classic filters, where I just roll a little bit of the low end off the bottom just to make sure there's no mud building up. And then I do some spot amplification. So if I notice that a snare or a cymbal or something has a transient is peaked, I'll take it down a couple dB and then maybe lift the whole track up a couple of dB, something like that. Just playing with the levels, trying to get them up to the optimal point. Very minimal. I don't get into EQ or trying to add any kind of effects or anything like that. It just always turns into a disaster. Just try to record it well going in, and there you have it. Doing a lot of manipulation after the fact for me usually ends up in a fail. It's like, you're trying to make something out of something that should have just been recorded better, than trying to, massage it and make it, it never quite works. Alright, so once I've done those minimal things, I named the track. So like say I've just done the snare, and I'm going to output it back to the computer so that I can then drag it back into the hard drive of the Zoom. Once that snare 1 is put in there, then I rename it snare 2, drag that in, and I do that for each track so that we've doubled each track. And I've just found with the Zoom, going way back to when I first got it, and getting on the old forum, I don't think it's out there anymore, but the old forum, a guy on there recommended doubling things, like, hey, if you're not getting there, just double it. Not recording it twice, but just using two tracks. And I'll show you how much more sound and presence and just everything you get when you try that. And I've done it with everything from guitars to vocals. I don't usually do it on guitars because I record 2 tracks of guitars. So I have 2 microphones doing dual mono recording. So then that's not an issue. But sometimes the vocal, you've got it all the way up as far as it's going to go, and it's just not cutting. And so then you just bring in another one, problem solved. And I have plenty of tracks because we've got 24 tracks here. So all I'm going to use is 8 tracks of the drums by doubling it, and I still got, all the rest of them to go. I've got the other 16 tracks to work with. So that's a lot of tracks. We used to always go into studios and only use 16 tracks. We were recording on 2-inch or 1-inch tape, and 16-track machine was, that was as far as you were going to go. So you had to make it work. All right, so, and with this, it's basically endless tracks because, you can take it to the computer and go and go and go, however far you want to take it. All right, so we've got our 4 tracks, and they've now turned into 8 tracks. So next thing I do is I assign the tracks. I'm going to assign the tracks to that, like I said, what I call the back row, which is 17 through 24. So you go to the track button, and I've got them all named, because I named them on the computer, which was easy. And I just assign them to snare 1 is 17, snare 2 is 18, left overhead is 19 and 24 all the way over here is going to be bass drum 2. So, you know, you just put them in there. And I put them in order. Next, so that it really sounds as, you know, as good as it can sound, you know, if you're going to play them back for someone, like when I'm playing back for you nice people, or if just for yourself, you know, just so you feel, I made it, I did it. I always put it in mastering mode. And to do that, you're going to hit Effect button, go to the algorithm mastering, and the first patch that I always use is the 00 plus alpha. That's just the one that seems to work the best for me. And then I come down to the input screen and make sure I'm in master. Otherwise, you're only going to record, you know, you're going to only affect 2 tracks at a time. And you don't want that unless you do. And now we're going to go to edit. And over here, I've got the 3-band crossover, 50 hertz, low and high. And on the synths, I've got 5, mid 5, and low 5. I always just do that to start it off. You can always adjust it later. Same thing with the mix, 5, mid, and high, and 5 on the low. Then if you go over to the normalizer, I have the gain at 0, I don't add anything there. And then on the 3-band EQ, all 3 are on 5, bass 5, middle 5, treble 5, level 62. The dimension reso type I have off, patch level is 24, the noise reduction is off as well. I don't use noise reduction. And then the other big thing is to make sure you bring down your big red fader. You want to make sure that that is not all the way up at unity gain at 100 like you would usually have it, because these effects really change the gain structure, and it's going to, you know, explode with volume. So you want to be prepared for that by just bringing it down. You can always push it back up as you're playing back to get it at the optimal level, you know, as far as the peaking and all that. Okay, so with all that being said, let me just play back the drums, and you'll just hear, we'll start with just the first snare. Then I'm going to add the second snare to show you how much better it sounds when you double the tracks. Okay, so we'll go back to the beginning. Let's see, I probably have to my
1,
yeah.
2, 3, 4.
That's the snare. I'm going to add the other one. Left overhead, just one of them. Two of them. All right, now the right overhead. More bass drum. All right, here's the second one. Bass drum, the first one. Second one. Okay, pretty straightforward. That one's just fine. I'm happy with the sound of it. I'm watching the metronome, because when I recorded the original guide track, I'm making sure to, you know, stay in time, playing to that. So everything sounds strong and you know, robust and on time. Now I'm going to hit the project button and get out of that one and select the other track. So here is the other one. This one's called Donut City. It's probably going to be called Welcome to Donut City, because there's another song. Van Halen actually has a song called Donut City that was in the soundtrack for the movie The Wildlife. and Eddie Van Halen and Alex do a lot of the music. It's kind of unfinished. Like some of the songs in the film, you can tell that Eddie had finished it, and Alex is playing the drums, and it has like a real finished sound to it. And then other songs sound like a drum machine, or like just maybe somebody, I don't know what was going on, but it doesn't have as, some of the songs you can tell are just unfinished. But I love the concept of it, you know, and it's about Los Angeles and the fires, and you know, Los Angeles is Donut City to a lot of people, so there you go. All right, so here we are with this one, same deal. I'll just play back the tracks. Wait, let me make sure I don't have a bunch of loud guide track stuff going on. Let's see what happens.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, let me just break that down, sorry. Okay, so we'll start with just the snare. Second snare. Left overhead. Right overhead. I'm sorry, second one. Right overhead. Second one. Bass drum. Second bass drum. Okay, and then the cymbals ring out. All right, so those are the two tracks. That was Donut City, and as we were going, I realized that I hadn't done the mastering mode that I'd done with the first song. So it was on an effect for guitars because I was playing along to it. So I just quickly, as we were playing it back, I quickly switched to mastering mode and did all the stuff I did for the first one, and it just always makes it sound so much better. So I think I've proven my point. You can see what I'm talking about as far as like the doubling of the tracks. It really, boom, it adds a lot. And you can continue to kind of get more of a stereo spread type feel by taking the tracks and panning them. So you could take the two left overhead tracks and pan them like, I don't know, 40% to the left, and your right overhead tracks and pan 40% to the right. I would do that here, but this is a mono output. I'd have to hook up the speaker too to even show you, and it probably wouldn't show you too much. I would have to record it properly and do better audio, but you get the idea. You can split and you could split these individually out, and get more of that kind of, if that's what you're looking for, more of that sort of wide stereo spread. I find that a lot of these songs sound better more like into a mono presentation, because I started trying to do that with these drums, but I think they sounded better down the middle. It depends on the song, it really does, and it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, whether you want to have that spread or not. Okay, so that was a very good, for me, a good 2 tracks or 2 songs worth of drums that I can now get this thing out, move all this stuff around, break all the rest of the drum microphones. That's why I like doing 2 songs at once, because you get more done. But get the guitar, get the amp out. I'm going to run it, face it the other way, so that it doesn't blow my ears out, and I can hear, because I don't have another room to put the cabinet in. I'm stuck in here with it while I track. So I usually face it the other way. So the next step is just to track these guitars right along to these drum tracks. And once you get those right, you put your headphones on and you just start rocking along. It really starts to get fun at this point to me. The song starts to come to life once you put the guitars on it. After the guitars are done, direct bass and then vocal, done. And then hopefully during that time period, I'll have that done pretty quickly. I can hopefully get another song ready and just start it back over again, because I'm really, like I said, 1 to 2 songs away from completing this record. I'm going to release it on some kind of format, and then try to get out there and play some live shows and have fun with the 2 records I'll have made by then. I'll have 2 self-recorded, where I do everything myself, one-man band type records. So I'm proud of that, just to have gotten to do 2 of them. That was the goal, like at least have 2, because it's going out and playing shows. You need to have at least 2 records to pull from, so you have enough songs. All right, so hopefully everybody out there is doing okay with their tracks and whatever they're doing. I wish you luck. Recording can be, lonely, kind of, it's like the loneliness of the long distance runner, but very rewarding. Very rewarding. At least I think it is. All right, so hopefully, like I said, if there's anything I can do, to assist you, just reach out. I'll answer any question if I know, and if not, somebody else that comes to the site on occasion, they'll know, because there's people that know way more than I do. All right, so good luck next time.